because a lot of people want to get into government jobs and you got three and you left. A lot of people listening to this have this question of government job versus private job, right? So
Right now they value a government job more as compared to an entrepreneur. In that period, I created 4 to 5 videos on electrical engineering. So I created this email called thingsengineermustknow@gmail.com, which eventually became Great Ideas Great Life.
what is that you are trying to build?
So the goal is to become audible and Udemy for India.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Career Talk podcast. In this podcast, our guest is none other than Hemant Pant, who is the founder of GIGL Summaries Private Limited. GIGL stands for Great Ideas Great Life, which actually started as a YouTube channel. This YouTube channel today has 6.8 million subscribers. So in this 30 minutes podcast, we have tried to extract all the knowledge, wisdom and experience from Hemant, because Hemant has transitioned from government jobs to private job to starting his own company. This is going to be an extremely helpful session for you if you want to know whether you should stick to your government job, whether you should move from government to private or private to government, or if you are thinking to start something of your own. So without wasting another minute, let's quickly get started.
Hi Hemant, great to have you today in this podcast. How are you doing?
I'm really good, Anand. I hope you are good too.
Good. Yeah, absolutely doing great. And thank you for being here. My first question to you, Hemant, is that I know you have left few jobs. You were actually into government jobs, I believe 3 government jobs and 1 private job. You left those jobs before you got into your own business. So very curious to know why would somebody do that, and a lot of people watching this would be interested in knowing the background, because a lot of people want to get into government jobs and you got 3 and you left. So please help us understand the backstory there.
Okay, so in 2014, I did my master's in instrumentation engineering from Punjab University, Chandigarh. And after that, I was applying for a lot of jobs.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I was not able to clear the interviews. So then I started as an assistant professor, and I started teaching electrical engineering to BTech students.
Wow.
But after 2 months, I cleared my first interview and started working as a junior engineer in Himachal Pradesh. So I myself didn't wanted to actually do that particular job, but then my parents convinced me, because they both are in government jobs. They told me that government job is a government job, even if you're getting half the salary of what you are getting as an assistant professor. So you should just continue with this job. So I joined that particular job, and after 5 months, I cleared another government job, which was I started working as a lecturer.
Okay.
So this time again, I was teaching to electrical engineering diploma students.
Okay.
So in that particular job, I worked for close to 8 months, and eventually I started working as a sub-divisional officer in Himachal Pradesh. So there I worked as I worked there for I think close to 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
Then actually at that time, my wife was doing PhD from NIT Jalandhar.
Okay.
And then we were discussing about our career, because we had other options. Either we could, apply for UPSC and start preparing for that. But then we saw that many of our friends who are doing these kind of jobs, they cannot stay together, because as your post, the hierarchy increases, you won't be able to continue in same district at least.
Correct.
So we thought, let's do something different. So as soon as she completed her PhD, we left the job. I left the job, and then we moved to Bangalore.
Okay.
And we are incubated here in NASCOM 10K Startups. It's in HSR Sector 1.
Okay. That's really good to know. A lot of people listening to this have this question of government job versus private job, right? So I believe you've done a private job as well.
Right.
So what is your opinion? What is your take on that? Why should one get into a government job or a private job? The pros and cons, and also, do you really need to be a brilliant student, a meritorious student to get there? If not, then what is the process?
Okay. So obviously, to get a government job, you have to be really good, because lots of people are competing there. And plus, if I have to choose from a private to a government job, I'll always take a government job because like it is more stable, more predictable. Plus, uh, sort of like respect is there, so status thing is there. Although the salary part is more in case of the private job, but the status is there. Like if I even now if I'll go to my hometown, which is in like Himachal, like people always are shocked because I left this class one gazetted officer job, and even my father was saying like, if you are starting here, just imagine like where you land. So why to leave this job? So status
Okay.
part is always there. Right now they value a government job more as compared to an entrepreneur, even as compared to the private job. So my
Right.
take on it here is the stability is there, status is there. So we can take a government job. Obviously, it depends like which government job you're taking.
Correct. And talking about the private job, what are the
Yeah.
pros and cons there from your perspective?
So the pros is obviously the salary part. So you have much more salary as compared to the government job, right? But the con
Mm-hmm.
here is like eventually it is a business.
Correct.
So like you can be fired at any time. So that is like one of the cons. And plus you have to work much more and the job stability is not there. The volatile nature of the job itself. That's why that is the only reason like people choose the government job. The
Correct. Correct.
volatility eventually, like if I have to boil it down, one is volatility. The second thing is the politics and everything that comes in like the private job. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe, I mean, politics, yeah, I mean, that's everywhere. But I think you have pointed out the right reasons why somebody should be in a government job, the pros over there versus a private job. And I think the answer is different for different people, right? I mean, somebody
Right.
may choose one over the other. It is not the same answer for everyone.
Yeah, it depends. So again, so it's not a binary question. So there's a huge spectrum. So you have to choose.
Correct, correct. And I relate to this because my mother also questions me every single time I talk about leaving the job, right? So I'm into corporate world for the last 20 years now. As soon as I go and say, okay, मैं कुछ अपना खुद का करता हूँ, there is always this question of why.
Right.
You are in a stable job for 20 years. Why would somebody give that up? So I think that is something a lot of people go through. So when you did this transition from jobs to business, okay, what kind of problems did you face? What kind of challenges did you face in that transition process?
Okay, so the first and like the most important challenge was that my parents are both in the government job. My father is a DFO, right? So he retired as a DFO, divisional forest officer. So to convincing him was the most challenging part.
Okay, okay.
Fortunately, my wife was already convinced here. She said, okay, let's do something different. So I think that was the only challenging part. From my side, like I was fully convinced that I don't want to continue here. Everything is predictable. So, I know like what is my maximum job post that I'll get or what is the maximum salary I can expect. So from my mindset, like everything was sorted out, but convincing parents was the hardest part.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And for people who are listening this, a lot of people are in their 30s or 40s and they want to venture into their own business or something of their own. What are few basic things that you would suggest people should watch out for
Okay.
before they transition from a job to a business? Let's say finance can be one of them, right?
Right.
But because you are experienced, you have done that, would you like to suggest certain pointers around that?
Okay. So I have a thinking model for this.
Wow.
So, there are like two type of decisions. There are type 1 decision and type 2 decision. So, type 1 decision are those decisions that even if you make it wrong and you come back, nothing happens to your life, right?
Okay.
And type 2 decision are those type of decisions. If you like mess those particular decisions, right? Everything gets finished or like the risk to reward ratio here is the risk is much higher in type 2 decision as compared to type 1.
Okay.
So now the question comes for you leaving a job, is it a type 1 decision or a type 2 decision? If it is a type 1 decision, let's say you are from an affluent family, and it doesn't matter for you, like the salary is much lesser as compared to the reward there. So
Correct.
obviously you can go and continue. But if it is a type 2 decision, then think, can you make it as a type 1 decision? And that can be
Okay.
done if you start investing 3 to 4 hours every single day in a particular business idea. Because what I see is like maximum people, they make mistake. They think that there is a problem They think that their idea is the best one, but eventually there is no market there.
Correct.
So first thing is that get few customers there, someone who is
Hmm.
actually paying. And
Hmm.
once you have the salary that is equivalent to or more than the salary that you are getting in the job itself, then I think you can transition. Then it would be
Okay.
easier and it would be like very logical too.
Hmm. 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 Okay, that actually helps. It's a very good way of thinking through it and actually experimenting before you take the plunge.
Right.
Correct. So when you started, I know you have gone through several struggles. You might have tried different businesses. Can you talk about that so that people get an idea of what did you try, how did you fail, struggle, and then you succeeded? Okay.
So like we started a YouTube channel like after I completed my BTech. So I
Hmm.
was preparing for GATE. I gave the GATE exam,
Hmm.
right? And after giving that GATE exam, there are like 3 to 4 months before the result comes out.
Hmm. Hmm.
So in that period, I like created 4 to 5 videos on electrical engineering. So I
Okay.
created this email called thingsengineermustknow@gmail.com, which eventually became Great Ideas, Great Life.
Okay.
But that sort of worked. And after 7 to 8 years, this geo thing was happening, and I thought there is an opportunity. Clearly, it was an inflection point, and
Hmm.
people need that local languages. They need vernacular content. And I
Hmm.
was reading like lots of books, and then I thought, let's summarize those books, right? And when I summarized those books, there was a beautiful response from the audience. So we were getting like close to 500K, 700K views. Earlier, when I was creating the content in English, so I used to get like 10,000, 15,000.
Hmm. Hmm.
So for me, it was the MVP, the minimum viable product. Okay, you know, people need this thing.
Okay.
Plus, when I saw the Western world, there was already an application called Blinkist.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
was a German company, German guys who created this product for American and like the European world. Then I thought, yeah,
Hmm.
I can also do that because when I saw the interview, I thought, they have read like 15, 20 books. I've read 100 and 200 books. So I can do
Hmm.
that as well. So that's
Correct.
how we started. So for me, it was a type 1 decision because, I already knew that there is the gap in the market.
Okay, okay, that's good. So, how many subscribers do you have on the main channel, Great Ideas, Great Life?
Yeah, so it is like close to 6.8 million.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And all of this has grown over how many years?
So aggressively, we started working 2018. So like
Hmm.
close to 6 years.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And in this entire process, you talked about the minimum viable product and all of that. In
Right.
that entire process, from transitioning to being a YouTube channel to starting your own business, how much of money did you think you invested, and what were other kind of investments, if any?
So the best part of YouTube is like you don't need any investment. So as far as
Hmm.
the YouTube channel was concerned, like no
Hmm.
investment was done there. Rather, like it was creating money for us.
Oh. Hmm.
Yeah, because there is an AdSense, so you get money out of it. And
Hmm. Hmm.
plus, the investment that was done in the application initially was only
Hmm.
25K, and that also
Okay.
was done like in parts.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So for me, from the day one, it was a type 1 decision that like
Correct.
I was not risking anything.
Hmm. Hmm. That's really nice. So today, what is your main business or startup? What is that try to? What is that you are trying to build, and
Okay.
how are you trying to promote that?
Okay. So the goal is to become audible and Udemy for India. We have
Hmm.
6 languages. We have
Hmm.
English, Hindi, Marathi, Bengali, Tamil, and Telugu. We
Okay.
want to bring other languages. We have
Hmm.
covered like close to 2000 book summaries. And
Hmm.
we just started with the courses, and we have like
Hmm.
close to 6 paid courses there in a very
Okay.
low ticket price, similar to Udemy. So the
Hmm.
ticket is like close to 600, 700 rupees.
Interesting. And what are these courses about?
So one of the courses about the investment.
Hmm.
So we bought this full-time investor Shubham. So he
Hmm.
has a portfolio of like close to 13 CR, and we convinced him to create a course with us.
Okay.
And every time a course is sold, we get a percentage, and he also get a percentage.
Okay. Okay. That's nice. That's nice. So for anybody who is listening to this, if they have to start their own venture, how critical or how important is the part where you build a team, right?
Yeah.
Because you won't be able to do everything by yourself.
Right.
So, in that process, can you share some tips around how did you go about building a team, and what are the kind of tasks that you delegated, and what are the tasks that you kept with yourself?
Okay, so initially, when the application was launched, so for the first 5 books, I was the one who was summarizing those books, doing the voiceover, editing, creating the thumbnail, and uploading it.
Wow.
So the part that was delegated was to a service company who created the Android application for us.
Okay.
After that, our first hire was a voiceover artist. Not
Hmm.
even a hire. I was able to convince her, and she's a very famous voiceover artist. She worked in, I think, the Radio Mirchi in Jaipur, called
Hmm.
Ruby, and she's very famous. Like if you listen to her voice,
Hmm. Hmm.
you'll understand the work. But I was able to convince her. I was not paying her anything, but she liked
Hmm.
the content, and
Hmm.
we gave her the liberty that she can change the lines of the content itself. If she
Hmm.
feels,
Hmm.
the way she want to represent it is different from what we have written there, she can do that, and
Correct.
she wanted that particular thing, and that's why she started working with us. And I think I didn't even pay her any even 1 rupee up to like 10 months. After
Okay.
that, she raised her first invoice.
Great. So today, how many people do you have in your team? Is it like a big team? Because from a startup standpoint, when people start, there's like what you said, they probably hire contractors, they
Right.
probably outsource work, but
Right.
then you slowly start to hire people, right? So, how many people do you have today, and how much of your time goes into managing the team as such?
Okay, so if we talk about freelancer, so including freelancers, like we have close to 50 people,
Wow.
and in like as a permanent employees, we have close to 8 to 9 people.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So majority of the operation works has been delegated. So right now I don't have to tell them that these are the books that needs to be covered, and the voiceover part and everything. Like we have team A players who are managing all of these things. So the operation part has been delegated. But now my job is to bring the growth, because we have a stable business, we are profitable, but now I have to see like how we can increase all of these things. So the marketing thing and the sales team, like I'm leading those teams.
Great. Okay, makes sense. And did you try any other ideas as well? I mean, this sounds like a seamless journey, right? You were
Right.
interested in reading, you were into books, you said thinking model one and two, and it was one. So I think it was seamless. But did you try any other ideas, especially in the AI world? And how did they go, if any?
Yeah, so there's a very interesting story around here. So there was another co-founder in the NASCOM itself. It's a co-working space. So
Okay.
as soon as this generative AI thing started, and
Hmm.
they started giving you the APIs of Chat GPT and all. The GPT,
Hmm.
I think GPT-3 model was launched. Right, at
Hmm.
that time, one of the co-founders told me, the summary thing is already solved, because now the generative AI can actually solve this thing. But to
Hmm.
me, I didn't think that is true, because the emotional part it cannot capture.
Hmm. Hmm.
It can summarize, it can, but you cannot engage the audience with that particular thing. But I was also dubious about it, so I thought, let's try this ideas. So I tried
Hmm.
2 ideas, 3 ideas rather. So I
Hmm.
started summarizing these books using the GPT-3 model, and then we launched a application called Bookshots.
Okay.
But the engagement there was low. Like people were coming, but they were not reading it.
Hmm.
So for
Hmm.
me, I killed that thing. That as of now, the technology is not prepared to
Okay.
bring the content which is engaging enough for audience to read. The
Hmm.
second thing I did was, I thought, like, because again it was an inflection point. So which other thing is possible which was not possible earlier? So we did like the brainstorming, and then we thought, okay, the Wikipedia,
Hmm.
we can summarize the complete Wikipedia, because it cannot be done, manually. So you
Wow.
need some type of text. So we thought, okay, what we can do is, because I noticed like majority of the people who come to Wikipedia, they just, read the introduction part and then come
Hmm.
back.
Hmm.
So there
Hmm.
was clearly a problem. So there could be a product which could lie between the user and Wikipedia, and so that we can summarize it. So we launched this website called wikishots.org, The UI
Okay.
was similar to Wikipedia, and then we summarized the like close to 1,000 articles,
Hmm.
the top
Hmm.
1,000 articles, because the data, the statistics is already there. So because Wikipedia is a non-profit organization, you can summarize their articles. There is no copyright infringement or something. So we summarized
Hmm.
that, but eventually, people started making Chrome browsers which can summarize the article with just one click. So at that
Hmm.
time, I
Hmm.
thought,
Hmm.
this particular vertical won't work.
Okay.
Then there
Okay.
was a third idea that we started. So in December 2022, the application was launched called Lensa. So
Okay.
Lensa was this application that you just take your photographs, upload
Hmm.
that, and then
Hmm.
you'll get the avatars of yourself. You can act as a Superman or a Iron
Correct.
Man and so on.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when I saw the numbers of this particular application, so Lensa was making like close to 400,000 every single month.
Hmm.
And then 2022, they made around 32 million. There was a like huge spike.
Hmm.
I knew the shelf life was less because there were the trend just came up. But I thought like now what we can do, like what could be the next trend? So the other thing that I saw on the Instagram was like youngsters were posting these videos. They'll do something and after a certain frame, the AI video
Hmm.
will start.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we created this product called instastars.ai and
Okay.
again launched it. But when we ran the ads, the customer acquisition cost was much greater as compared to the lifetime value of a customer. So again, we killed this particular project.
Wow.
But if it could have been worked like if then we could have made like a huge amount of money.
Correct. Correct. But this is really interesting because you have tried so many things and none of these has worked, right?
Right.
And you have realized it after putting a lot of effort, research, analysis, and checking the market as well.
Right.
So I think it's a great lesson for people who are listening that a lot of people are attracted towards the startup world thinking that things will work easy or probably in the first or second shot they'll be able to get things right. I think these are examples from somebody like you who has a very successful business and who's trying things, who has a team,
Right.
and things didn't work out. I think it's a good lesson for people who are listening. Thank you for sharing that. I also want to talk about Hemant the profitability angle, right?
Right.
We see huge numbers in, let's say, TV shows where people are talking about startups. We talk about valuation and we talk about funding. Somebody got 100,000 funding, 1 million funding. This company is valued at $1 billion and stuff like that. But then there is something known as profitability. How much money are you really making? How
Right.
much profit are you really making? So, do you want to talk about some of these things? How profitable are companies, let's say in your space, right? There are other companies who are your competitors. So, from a profitability standpoint, can you shed some light on that so that people understand a bootstrap company versus a funded company and the profitability angle?
Okay. So if I talk about my space, there are like close to 6 to 7 products that are in audio space. So there's
Hmm.
Kuku FM, Pocket FM, Headphone, Khabri, 8
Hmm.
Audios, and Giggle.
Wow.
And like apart from Giggle, all other like 5 startups are well funded. But this is the
Hmm.
only company that is profitable.
Wow.
Now the question come is like should we pursue profitability first like
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
scale first? So it depends
Correct.
on the startup. Earlier I used to think the profitability is everything. Then
Hmm.
there's a book written by Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, called Blitzscaling. So he talks
Okay.
about in some of the cases,
Hmm.
you have to take funding, you have
Hmm.
to waste money because those type of businesses are the businesses where winners take all, that sort of stuff.
Oh.
For example,
Hmm.
let's say if you talk about a social media application. So
Hmm.
if you know you are running that race, you have to take funding because here the growth matters more as compared to the profitability because there cannot be two winners. But
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
our space, I don't think there would be a one winner. Everybody will have their chunk of market. So in our case, that's why we thought ki, okay, the growth is not as important as profitability. So let's be stable and let's keep on investing our own money there. So again, it
Hmm.
depends on the business. Like that would be the short answer.
Okay, that helps actually. Now, one thing which I want to understand from you is people who are in jobs. You talked about two thinking models, and preferably the first one is what you followed. people who are, let's say, for example, me, let me take my own example. If I'm into a job for 20 years and now I want to do something of my own, right? A lot of IT people in their 40s actually want to venture into something of their own, but they don't know how to start. So, is there a model or a framework where you analyze ideas, or you at least create POCs or MVPs? How do you go about that? Is there a structured process around that?
Okay, yeah. So the first thing I would recommend is, get the customers. So in like the startup world, some people say, get the customer before you make the product. So
Hmm.
I'll give you one example. There's an application called Buffer.
Okay.
So this particular guy, the founder of Buffer, what he did is he saw that people are posting shorts or the reels on Instagram.
Hmm.
But every time, let's say if I have to post a reel tomorrow, I have to be there and upload it manually, right? So he
Hmm.
thought like if I make an application where a person can upload all the reels together in one chunk, and then
Hmm.
according to the calendar at that particular time,
Hmm.
that particular reel will automatically get pushed to Instagram account.
Okay.
But he did not started making the application. All he did was he created a web page,
Hmm.
and then he told the audience that I have already created that product. And then he
Hmm.
priced that particular product at $5. And when you will click that particular link, then a second page will come, and there it was written, okay, I have added you in my list. I haven't created the product yet, but I know there is an audience. And then he just ran the ads
Wow.
because he got like the conversion rate was good, and he knew that the unit economics would work, and then he
Hmm.
started creating the product. So we
Hmm.
have to validate the idea. Even if I talk about the ideas that we worked on, the wiki shots, the instastars AI, so for
Hmm.
us it was a lesser investment.
Correct.
So I did not. The goal was to create to summarize the complete Wikipedia, but I did not summarize it. So we just
Correct.
summarized the first 1,000 articles. So you just
Hmm.
have to put a very small amount of money to validate the idea.
Wow. All right, Hemant. So I have one more question which is very relevant for the audience, which is people who are in their 40s, okay,
Okay.
people who have spent, let's say, 15 years, maybe 20 years in the IT industry. Sometimes they feel that they don't have a place in a lot of companies, in which, what I mean is, companies are not interested in hiring them. That's a general perception. It may not be entirely true, but there is a perception out there that people who become older,
Yeah.
sometimes startups probably don't want to hire them. Sometimes people have a bias towards younger people. Okay, how do
Yeah.
you see that? What is your opinion and thought around that perception, or whether it is reality, and how should people tackle that?
Okay. So I'm not aware about the corporate world, but in the startup world, like when people talk, so they talk about the position of a CTO and then other IT jobs, right? For a CTO, what they want is comparatively a younger person, close to 30, 35, who is very aggressive, who can actually give growth to that company. So that is true. But for other positions, I think we need experienced people. So that is like what I would say, because like most of the people don't even understand what startup is. So there's a very beautiful essay written by Paul Graham, who is the founder of Y Combinator. He says startup is equal to growth, meaning any business that will eventually follow an exponential curve rather than a linear curve will only be defined as a startup. For example, if I'll talk about two products, there's a one product where, let's say I want to make a product where I want to teach Nepali to Indians. So because the market size is not that big, the TAM is not that good, then it will not be considered as a startup. But if you want to teach, let's say, English to Indian people, then it would be considered a startup. But because eventually this particular thing could have, that exponential curve. And if you talk about Cambly, that follows this particular product. And there are Nepali applications which are not making that much of revenue. So if you need that particular type of growth, you need a person who is very aggressive to get that growth, because the goal of a startup is to make huge amount of money in like very less amount of time. At least that is the perception. That will happen or not happen, that is a different thing, but that is like how you are approaching things.
Right. So basically, when you say aggression, it means energy and more time commitment, which generally younger people have a lot more, because as you grow older in your 40s, you have responsibilities of parents, children, and all of that. So you may want to have better work-life balance. And when you get into a startup, I think that that proportion of effort towards your job is probably a lot more required, and hence startups prefer younger people. Is that right to say?
Yes, because like eventually a person has to be obsessed with this thing. The most important currency is attention, and
Correct.
like they want theoretically 100% of the attention towards their startup only. At least those people who are pursuing these type of goals. So
Correct. Absolutely. And one thing which I want to also ask is people who are, let's say, in colleges, okay, who are studying, because you have got into government jobs as well, and then you have transitioned into private and then into your own business. So for younger people who are listening to this, and especially a lot of people are tensed about IITs and getting into great colleges, and the percentages also matter, right? So how should and in fact my own son is in 10th standard, so how should young people, where should their focus be, where should young people focus? Do percentages matter in specific standards, 10th, 12th? Does it really matter if you get into an IIT or a top institute, you will be able to win the world, or if you get into a regular college, you lose everything? What is your take on that?
So I won't say like if you go to a regular college you lose everything. If I talk about myself, I secured only like 50% in 12th standard.
Oh.
So that is like plus in addition to that, like if I talk about Zerodha, so they don't have not even one single team member there is from IT or IM.
Wow. Okay.
Right, and like it is the most profitable company, right? Zerodha last year did a PAT of profit after tax of 2700 CR, and it's a bootstrapped company. So like they're really proud. They don't. I was just reading this LinkedIn post of I think Nitin Kamath, and he said like, we build our team very slowly as compared to other team members. If we bring a person from IT or IM, they want to prove something,
Correct.
and culturally they are not fit in this particular type of ecosystem. So that is the one thing, that even if you don't go to a like big college, the big names like ITs and IMs, still you can do better in other things. But yes, obviously, if you are from IT and IM, that proves something, right? If somebody puts a resume here, and like if I am seeing their resume, that proves something, that he was at least disciplined till 12th standard, right? He was putting
Correct.
14 to 16 hours of work every single day. So that obviously proves something. And what I have seen is the network of people from IT and IM are like really good. So if they want to, they want connection in any of the companies, they can get that like very fast as compared to
Correct.
other local colleges. So like again, pros and cons we have.
Correct. But yeah, that helps actually, and thank you for being authentic and honest. A lot of people actually worry a lot about percentages, right? That I didn't get this much percent, that much percent. So I think this is really going to be inspirational for youngsters.
Right.
Great. Thank you, Hemant, for all of that. I really appreciate your time, spent with us. A lot of these are insights for people who would definitely like to apply them. And especially, I loved the thinking model and the backstories that you've shared with us. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Thank you so much, Anand, for inviting me. I hope like audience will enjoy this.
Absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of people will comment and they'll have questions for you. So I request, your attention in the comment section as well.
Yeah. I'll do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
All right, so that was Hemant Pant, and I hope you have noted down all the key learnings, especially the thinking model which he has shared and how he has implemented that in his own startup. If you have further questions, please do add them in the comments. Both Hemant and I will try to respond to your questions. With that, it's time to sign off. Do not forget to check Hemant's channel and his LinkedIn profile. I'll see you in another video soon. Take care and bye for now.